It seems apparent that we're seeing things very differently. What I observe is a classic tale of colonization, one in which a billionaire feels entitled to land, claiming that there is nothing there. A few weeks ago, Musk tweeted calling on people to move to Starbase to fulfill SpaceX hiring needs. This assumes he won't be finding the labor he needs in Brownsville to fill the so-called jobs he is creating. The community will no longer accept they are bringing jobs. We need numbers, we need facts. We will not accept further expansion of SpaceX or the privatization of Boca Chica Beach. We will not accept SpaceX restricting access to a natural park and beach. Our people deserve to have access to nature and sacred spaces. $30 million is not enough. It is pocket money. It is comparable to a $5 donation if you make $45,000 a year.
I do not agree with leadership's decision to support Elon Musk and SpaceX's colonization of Boca Chica Village and privatization of Boca Chica Beach. Setting aside $1.3 million for a project that is disrupting the lives of our neighbors, aiming to occupy more of the sacred land that the local indigenous Carrizo Come Crudo tribe has worked to protect for generations, and is endangering the wildlife and environment with pollution from explosions and noise.
The ecological cost of SpaceX is well documented. SpaceX is dangerous and incompetent. In less than 3 years, there have been 3 rocket explosions in the area, spilling heavy metals, petrochemicals, rocket fuel into the surrounding ecosystems. These contaminants can kill wildlife at low concentrations, and they threaten the long-term survival of endangered species such as the ocelot, the aplomado falcon, and the Boca Chica flea beetle. Even now, people are scrambling to pick up rocket pieces that are so large they must be moved with heavy machines from Boca Chica State Park, Lower Rio Grande National Wildlife Refuge, and the ecologically sensitive tidal flats, dunes, and lagunas.
Most likely it's going to happen at our Brownsville location because we've got a lot of land with nobody around. And so if it blows up, it's cool.
In a rocket that size or any size that would go up, and who knows what might happen. It might start tipping the wrong direction. Who knows? If something happens to the engine and it explodes, that's cool. When you're talking about there's lives here that's 1.5 miles away.
I am in agreement with a lot of the people that things in Brownsville need to change. Like there needs to be more opportunity for people. We are like one of the poorest counties in the country, and I think we can all recognize like the plethora of issues. Like I don't need to go into depth, but whatever Elon Musk wants to do, that is not progress. That is not going to make things better for any of the people that actually live here. As other people have mentioned,
He's been buying out all the houses.
Essentially, at the end of the day, Elon Musk is going to bring gentrification. His tweets have been sent out. The message has been sent.
I would like to see the working people of Brownsville be able to create their own dream job where they are not exploited or thought of as low skill. I wish you would be swayed by the folks in this community, amazing people who keep working hard to sustain their families. You think deficitly of the low-income community, you say it in your actions and policy. Ask yourselves why a billionaire deserves 10 years of tax breaks amidst a global pandemic and 4 years of oppression against border people and migrants. Those tax breaks don't trickle down.
Now, it's possible that maybe Brownsville is in a position where leadership feels it needs to ignore all of this and jump on Musk's rocket, thinking we're going to play a role in getting us to ours. That all we will be doing is contributing to the destruction of our own planet. If we want to see society move forward, we can do that ourselves, working together for everyone in Brownsville. Reach out to local change makers, check out the events they organize, be in the community and listen to the experiences and ideas of those who are ready to share them. You could even set up a town hall so that those who have researched the ecological and economic effects of this project on our area can present their findings, and local residents can have the opportunity to speak on this issue. Also, make sure to include a Spanish and sign language translator so everybody can understand and be involved in what is happening. I honestly don't know why these translators aren't even at these meetings. Seeing our community engaged in its future will be a lot more satisfying than watching the lights roll in on a selfie next to an electric car or watching Boca Chica get littered with debris from the next exploding rocket.
How quickly we forget and become disconnected from nature and its wonders. How quickly we forget the importance of being good neighbors and stewards to the earth. The need to stand up for basic human rights like clean air and water is dire. Will you stand up for your children, your grandchildren, and future generations?
A ver, esta cosa que... It looks like it's working. Oh, bueno, ¿cómo andan? Chamacos, it's me, your abuelo, Turtle. I'm a Kemp Riley sea turtle, or a Texas tortoise. Ya ni me acuerdo. Es que estoy bien viejo, mijo. I'm like 300 years old. Y se me va la onda. Y pues, I live here en Boca Chica, pero a veces no Boca Chica, ando acá en la resaca por el monte, porque, no hombre, mijo, ese malcriado de Musk, no hombre, ese chamaco, ese hueco quitazao, a mi raza, mijo, a todos los animalitos. He built these rockets, invited all his tech yuppies. They even kicked out a los güeros de Boca Chica Village. No hombre. It's bad if you know they got screwed too. ¿Qué? ¡Pinche tacuache! No, hombre, no te pasan. El Musk. ¿Quién se cree el hombre? Todo el ruido que hace. It's not enough, ¿o qué? Que también tienen que dejar todo su pinche mugrero. All his blown up rockets all over the place. ¿Y los nesting birds? ¿A dónde van a ir? ¿A dónde se va a quedar los pajaritos? They need a place to live with their family. Y no más son los birds, it's all of us. Todo el housing market, mijo, todo Brownsville. Good thing I have a freaking house on my back. Si no, hombre, estas housing prices are out of control. Imagínate, todo gentrified, todo priced out. Ya más falta la primera Karen. Imagínate que ya quería la ruca. I don't know about this here pitada that's happening down south most. It seems a little bit dangerous, a little bit reckless. Hombre, imagínate, se vuelven locos los de las Outbooks. Ya más falta. Y yo ya me cansé, mijo, yo ya me cansé de todo el pedo. Así que yo le dije al Musk, yo le dije, mira, Mr. Musk, Mr. Starbucks, I know you like it here, pero ni con que me dé 1000 de esos Teslas. Mira, ponle ahorita. Nah, pero el gabacho ni me peló. Nada más está ahí en su Twitter. Y pues quién sabe qué pájaro sea ese, pero no sé. I don't like them both. I don't trust them. No, I don't trust them, mijo. Ninguno de esos. Y me vine acá al TikTok to bring attention to what's happening, pero no sé, I think I'm doing it wrong or something. I think I gotta practice dancing, or I don't know. I'll do the cha-cha. I'll do a guapango. I'll do the payaso de rodeo. Ponla esa. I don't know. I'll do the Dougie. Whatever you want, para que me ayuden a sacar el Musk de aquí. Y si le ayudan a su abuelo, I'd really appreciate it, porque, no hombre, things are getting out of control over here. Los zancudos en la resaca están bien grandes, mijo. And I'm viejito. I want to go back to Boca Chica, así que let's get that Musk guy out of there. Let's dance, or let's TikTok. Let's do whatever we have to so we can bring more attention and get that guy out of here, because he's really ruining all the life of all me and all my animalito friends.
¿De qué me sirve el dinero si estoy como prisionero dentro de esta gran nación? Cuando me acuerdo hasta lloro, que aunque la jaula sea de oro, no deja.
Hey everybody, welcome to Weekend Update. It's your host, Ramirez. I'm coming at you from Sábado Night Live here in Brownsville, and we got some very special guests with us tonight. First off, let's give it up for Mrs. Grimes herself. Yeah.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
Grimes, good to see you. How's parenting baby XIA?
I don't really like the word parenting. I don't support hate, but I like being a mom. It's taught me to respect women more. Also, my baby XAI is so smart. He's already produced one of my songs, and he's really into Rubik's Cubes right now.
That's pretty awesome. Can you play a little bit of that song? I mean, or just let us know when it's like gonna be released.
Let me ask XAI. I'll text him really quick.
Wait, your baby knows how to text?
Yes, I'm telling you, he's a genius, just like his dad. His nanny only holds his phone and types for him, but he does all the rest.
That's cool. Yeah. So, how's life in Texas?
It's fucking fire out in Starbase. You should come and visit. Everyone in Texas has been so welcoming and supportive.
Well, what's Starbase though?
Well, it's like a town we created. We plan to model it after the world we were creating in Mars. So it's like practice before Mars. We'll have like real aggressive looking and weird buildings for people to live in. They'll destroy all the native habitat. Our launching site will double in size and scatter toxic debris and pollutants into the area. You know, to make it weird, futuristic, and grungy. Maybe the sun will turn red and it'll be hard to breathe. And it'll be cool because there'll be lots of jobs for people. Terrible working conditions. And my baby daddy won't pay taxes, so he'll keep making the world better. It's gonna be expensive for everyone to live here. But it's okay, because maybe they'll convince people to come to Mars so they can work to death to build a colony. It's pretty chill.
That kind of sounds like a bad thing. I mean, are you like trying to ruin Earth and become rulers of Mars?
No way, we would never do that. By the way, I don't support hate. I respect women, and I'm a mother now. Elon has only good intentions. Like, yeah, he doesn't really care about workers, the environment, hates pronouns, but he's a genius and works really hard. Like, his family started from nothing. They only had like partial ownership of emerald mines during apartheid.
Thanks for clearing that up. So have you heard back from your baby?
Yeah, XAI just texted me back. Let me play the track for you. It's fucking fire. He is a genius.
All right, let's hear it.
Pressing play now.
Oh.
Colonizer, colonizer, you're a colonizer. Oh,
Yeah.
colonizer, oh, you're a colonizer,
Yeah,
baby.
you might want to check in on those copyright restrictions. I think your baby might be lifting some stuff up from, I don't know, a 90s pop princess diva, maybe?
I don't know, maybe. You know, art is inspired by everything.
Yeah, no, well, thank you so much for giving that. Sounds like your baby's on the road to be maybe the next you. So let's give it up for Grimes, everybody. Thanks. And that's it for me today. I'm Ramirez coming at you from Weekend Update. Till next week, y'all.
You are colonizer, 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 colonizer.
Hey, my name's Oswald. I'm a SpaceX employee 00. I got lost in space. I got shot up. I guess my connection to the Rio Grande Valley is that we were launched from there and then forgotten about out here in space. And I'm kind of worried that's going to happen to not just me, but probably like tons of other people. So just kind of, you know, there's not much to do over here. So yeah, just kind of worried about that. Let's see. So yeah, I think it's probably going to have a pretty big effect as far as colonization of, I've run across a couple aliens over here, Glorp being one of them. And, we chatted about what this means for them and what this means for the space race. And it's just not good as far as like, nobody really wants him here either. And yeah, and I think it's just a waste of time as far as the environmental displacement that's happening down there. I mean, if y'all want nothing, I can tell you about what nothing looks like. There's not a lot of trees over here. There's not a lot of air. And that's probably going to happen in the valley if SpaceX keeps doing what they're doing. But yeah, basically just want the city and the public to respond by kind of holding this guy accountable, because he's just leaving us out here in the middle of nowhere, and he's probably going to do the same to y'all. So just stay safe.
Hi there, I'm an RGB twisted rib cactus. I am native to the area, so I've been here my whole life. And my connection to the RGV is very simple. It is my home. I know how to survive and thrive here. And one of my relatives, the prickly pear cactus, is all over South Padre Island and Boca Chica and along the highways. So to think of the destruction to my family members breaks my heart, especially the destruction of communities. And that's what I think SpaceX is going to do. It's not profitable. It's not a good idea. I just, as I sit and I think about it, I'm just like, there's nothing but environmental racism going on right now. And I think we need to stop and take a look at that and rethink how that's going to look. Because if you think about all of the colonization that Elon Musk plans on doing, like he has said on Twitter about telling people to come over, and housing market prices are already going up, he just will end up displacing the whole community and will have nothing. And I really want to see those contracts taken back, torn up. No more contracts for Elon Musk. He will destroy our environment with his rocket ships that all they do is explode. So that's what I say. Tear the contracts and embrace your community for who they are. Amazing, intelligent, adaptable people who do not need Elon Musk.
Right on. Hi, I'm Brady the J. I am a RGB native. I was born in Harlingen, but now mostly operate out of Brownsville. But this is serious. This is a serious issue. Every issue intersects, from machismo to reproduction justice, environmental, class. It all intersects here. It's evident, and we have to act together to meet this force, this $1 billion state force, with an equal and opposite force of solidarity and working class action. SpaceX destruction, what does it mean to me? Well, if those around me are affected, then I'm affected. If my community is affected, I'm affected. Everyone around us is affected. But further than that, it is modern day colonization. Look at what's happening in Hawaii with Mark Zuckerberg. He sued the native people of Hawaii for his own private estate. I don't know the details of that, but that's what's happening. And it's happening here with Elon Musk, with his $10 billion company, displacing populations, both flora and fauna, as well as humans. But it's also something that has happened historically. I mean, Texas itself was founded on settlerism, on the Anglos calling upon the other settlers from the other part of the South. Hey, there's free land over here. It's empty. Come and take it. That's not true. The same thing that Elon Musk did on Twitter, everyone should come to Brownsville, move to Brownsville, the greater Brownsville area, there's nothing here. That's the same message. There are people here. There are stores here. There are communities. All that it's not being sprung up from the ground it's being replaced. I've been speaking to friends who tell me, like, what's the big deal with SpaceX and Elon Musk coming down here and revitalizing the area? It's like, well, what do you mean by revitalizing? And they tell me, well, there's nothing there. Like, what's so bad about putting something new there? And I'm like, no, sir. There's definitely something there. There are people there. There are businesses there. Even Boca Chica itself. The greatest story I've heard so far is about how families go to Boca Chica to fish, to eat for the day, to have their subsistence for the day. And when SpaceX is conducting their rocket tests, the county will close the beach for days at a time. What do those people do if they can't go fishing for the day? That just strikes me as inhumane, really. But it's another impact. It's another effect. It's displacement as well. But as far as how I want the city or the public to respond, the city should listen to public opinion. They should do their job. The county as well. I think we should put more pressure on the county than the city personally. But they all deserve their fair share of critique and scrutiny.
Hi, my name is Berry Strawberry. Obviously, this isn't my real face, and this is a pseudonym. And we don't even grow strawberries in the RGV. But that's okay. I like to eat strawberries, and it's pretty. The reason why I chose to speak today was because I too have an issue with SpaceX. I have an issue with the idea that SpaceX is, has consistently changed their story and changed the narrative of what they're planning on doing here since day one. When they first came here, they made promises that they were just going to be shooting out a few satellite launches, and that seemed fine, good, great, because you know what? That's okay. Like, shoot out your satellites. People need the satellites. But the thing is that now we're talking about a major expansion that involves rocket destruction testing. I mean, they say that they're just testing the rockets, but to me, this looks like a minefield for destruction, right? Because this is the area where, if, like Musk said, if a rocket explodes, nobody's around, but there are people around. And not just that, there's animals around. There's tons and tons of stuff around. And it's harming them. And I don't want to be that person to be the negative all the time, but somebody needs to be there to point out the hypocrisy, to point out the overall just covering for his ass, because he breaks rules all the time. When we had that huge turtle kill and they blamed it on fishing nets, how come those turtles never died again from more fishing nets later? I want to know, because you know what? The rocket exploded and then the turtles died. So explain that to me. How is it the correlation so there and pointed that we're like, oh, okay, well, no, it was fishing nets. We should be hearing about mass turtle kills all the time if that's the case, and yet we don't. I think that the whole idea of economic development is counterintuitive to the whole idea of community development and making sure that our communities are safe, that they're taken care of. We're not focusing on them. The city doesn't care about community development, because if they did, they'd be listening to the activists and organizers that are on the ground working with the community. And you know what? Everybody is complicit. Every nonprofit out there, from museums, all these institutional powers that are out there that are vying for Musk money, you're all complicit in this. You realize that when you say that you want Musk money, when you want to support them, business owners, they're all against the most marginalized and the most affected people that will be pushed to the fringes of Brownsville and that surrounding greater Brownsville area. Don't tell me you care about people, because when you write your grants, you're going to be writing that we're supporting people who are so impoverished, and we're going to get money because, we have that leverage. You know what? But you're not giving it to the people. You're using it for your own salaries. You're using it to prop yourself up, to act like you're such a giving human being, and you're not. None of you are. The people that are on the commission, y'all aren't doing the job that you're supposed to be doing, whether it's county or city. All of you see dollar bills. And I'm sorry, that donation from downtown, that's a drop in the bucket for what that area needs. That area is so blighted from years and years of border militarization and racist fucking policies that you can't change it with just a couple of bucks that Elon gave you. You know who it's going to benefit? The people who had the money to invest into those buildings when it was most blighted. So I'm looking at the mayor. I'm looking at the people who already have thriving businesses down there. Y'all can say that you just know how to manage your money and whatnot, but you've been gaming this system for a while. I don't believe anybody has the best intentions for downtown Brownsville. The poorest residents from Brownsville, they have homes down there. I know that y'all look at their homes and you fucking salivate for them. Like, you can't have them unless you raise their taxes and then you price them out. The whole thing to me is horrible. What you're doing to the people here is horrible. So how do I want the public to respond? With the same kind of anger that I'm experiencing right now. Because not only are you taking away my childhood memories from the beach, but you're taking away everything that makes the city what it is. When you move these people out and import other people in, that is colonization. And I don't care if it's not a violent, aggressive takeover like what's happening in Israel and Palestine right now. I don't care if it's that. So right now, what is the city doing to support people? I want to know, because saying that I'm injecting money in for like this special economic investment, like a mural program for bicyclists that are touring the area, like, again, like, that's not investing into the area. That's investing for tourists. Like, what about us? What about the people? Think about the people who have shaped this area, the people that you exploit with low wages, that you've been exploiting with low wages. You tell companies to come down here. Oh, yes, our people will work for caca. Like, you know what? Things got to change. And I know that people out there are probably saying, no, things have changed. And I know that there are a lot of city administrators who will argue that's not the way that things are now. But they were like that. And you're benefiting off of it. And you're just growing this structure even further out. We could have done more for ourselves. We could be helping people out more, and we're not. So I hope you sleep well at night, and you probably do, because you spend your time not in Brownsville, but in Rancho Viejo or some other spot that's not even in Brownsville, and like you count your coins and you feel like everything's peachy keen for you. Have a nice life. You know, here in Brownsville, we'll be here fighting for the people still. And you know, I'm a very, very strawberry. I'm very, very angry. But overall, in the end, like, all I want is fairness and justice for the people who are here, who are being colonized, who are being pushed out. They deserve to be considered. Their homes, they deserve to keep them. They were here first.
Yes, I'll go. Thank you very, very much.
Very.
My name is Glorp. I've been living with and studying the humans in the valley for a considerable amount of time. My family is also here among you. I work with kids every day and have an interest in seeing them be successful. So I want to say that SpaceX is emblematic of how, not just in our area, but across America, there's a trend of capitulating and catering to these large businesses, to millionaires and billionaires, by giving them tax breaks and unbridled power in our communities, instead of empowering the poor and working class people that I've grown to be fond of. The people have begged for help, for roads to be fixed, for our schools to be funded, for good jobs, food, and homes to not be criminalized. But instead, the humans get a football stadium or a convention center or a call center with the failed promise of providing dignified work or revenue for the city. You know, all that to say, stop giving these people tax breaks, tax the rich, and put people over profits. You know, I hope the humans of the RGV band together and help each other. They build their community up, gain power together, and make sure the government, the mayor of Brownsville, the county, the state is working for their interests. And by the way, we don't want Elon in space. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Yodita. I wanted to share a few thoughts with you all. Look, Elon Musk has plans to send 1 million people into space within the next 40 to 100 years. He announced that in Mexico. He didn't announce that in Brownsville. So to go back to Brady the Jay's point of the beaches are being closed, and to return to what Barry Strawberry said, that the turtles are dying, that's not even with us sending people out there. The Brownsville community has not been informed of the full scope of this project. And the beaches are already being closed. This is the beach. This is access to public space that is one of the only green spaces, one of the only natural spaces that we have in the region. The rest of the majority of the natural spaces, despite the fact that Brownsville and the Rio Grande Valley is one of the most biodiverse regions in the country, most of our green space, our natural space, is within militarized zones. So much of it lies behind the border wall. So much of it is inaccessible to us as community members. And now one of the last natural spaces that we have access to is being taken over and made inaccessible, and will be made nearly permanently inaccessible as Elon Musk's plans continue to come to fruition. Why is Elon Musk not talking to the community directly? Who gave Elon Musk permission to colonize space? Who gave Elon Musk permission to act on behalf of Brownsville, to act on behalf of the state of Texas, to act on behalf of this entire nation, and to act on behalf of all of humanity? I didn't. I know many people in Brownsville didn't give him that permission. And what happens when he gets to space? When are we going to end the human centrist perspective and the perspective of biocentrism that makes us think that humans and organic life matter are the most important beings? We know that as we destroy other non-human beings, humans are impacted. Human life is impacted. Human life does not end and begin only with humans. We require trees to survive. We require the water to survive. And it's important that we recognize the autonomy and the life of those beings. So Mars has a life. Who asked Mars? What does Mars want? What about the rocks there that have been existing peacefully? Do they want us to go? So what I want the city to do, what I want the public to do, is to consider the points of planetary personhood that have been written by non-human nonsense. And these are: let Mars be Mars. Mars is not terra nullis, to go back to Brady the Jay's point of when people go to colonize things, they make it seem like there was nothing there. There are things here in Brownsville. There are things in our community. We exist. Mars exists. It's not an empty space for us to go fill with things and to insert our ideas into. Something already exists, and it's inherently hierarchical that we think that just because we are not there, it doesn't have meaning. It doesn't have autonomy. To return to the wise points of the strawberry, economic development often happens only for a small group of people. We need to recognize our interconnectedness. And just like is happening with the pandemic, we are interrelated. When the most vulnerable people are vulnerable, that makes all of us vulnerable. We can't separate out the rich from the poor. These problems are intertwined. So, and also, I don't think anyone has talked yet about space junk, but we are already at a point where we have too much junk in space, where it's threatening the infrastructure of the web and the ways that we use satellites. Those space junk pieces are crashing into one another, like coming back into our atmosphere. So now we're just going to send up more stuff into space. I mean, this is a problem of like, It's unsustainable. This is an unsustainable way of moving forward at a time when we should be thinking about what are sustainable ways of moving forward. How does this idea juxtaposition with ideas like climate change? It's a continued hoarding of resources in order to build a future that's returning to things that we should be letting go of. Have we not learned our lesson about colonization? Have we not learned during this time of racial justice consciousness raising that those ways have not served us? Is it not time for us to invent new ways of being and to acknowledge the indigenous wisdoms of our ancestors?
I think what y'all brought up about economic development, specifically the tourists, is really good. Because, like, okay, so you're propping up these murals for the bicycle tourists, right? But then where are these tourists going to go spend their money? At the businesses, these fancy places that the city officials already own, you know? So they're indirectly benefiting from these, like, tourist attractions and economic development. It's a really good question. Cui bono? Who benefits?
And they do it in the sense that they're reducing the diabetes trends, and that they're proposing active stuff, but in reality they're just doing this as a way to get more tourist dollars here, and those tourist dollars benefit people not in the valley for the most part, or the people in the valley who already own everything, like Freddie said. So yeah, it's part of a whole, like, what does even New Space City mean? Like, what does it look like? What is it? It's like, how is that shaping in our culture, in our, like, in these murals that are popping up in, like, cultural productions? It reminds me of a lot of, like, the whole myth of the Magic Valley, right? When, like, white Northerners came down from wherever, Iowa or wherever they were at, and came and basically took over lands that weren't theirs in violent ways. And I also really appreciated what Mary Bear, Strawberry Lady, said about the comparison between Palestine and what's happening there with the displacement of people, just literally taking over people's houses and saying, this is my God-given right, and kicking people out, and then the state basically saying that's fine. And so, I mean, it's not a long ways from where we are, I believe.
Absolutely. It's economic development, but for who? We should always think about that whenever our city officials are saying this will help generate our economy. This is economic development. But
for who?
Sacred lands. These belong to the Eshtognac people, the Carrizo Comecrudo tribe of Texas. We have ancestral burial grounds here. We have history here. Not only that, but to go off of what Brady the J was saying, talk about tourism. What about ecotourism? If there aren't any birds or butterflies, how are guides supposed to lead these people who come from all over the world, literally all over the world, to see all of our flora and fauna if they're going to be destroyed? How are we supposed to make our money from that? Those go directly to the pockets of the people, of the guides, of the nature centers. We have 9 nature centers here in the Rio Grande Valley. We have 21, actually, 9 world birding centers. That's how important we are. South Padre Island always has birds that are coming from crossing over the Gulf. If we don't have Boca Chica, and if we don't have South Padre Island, and instead we just have shrapnel and whatever the heck these spaceships are blowing up along with their green chemical smoke, what's going to happen? What about the people who depend on that yearly? It's just, I mean, there's more things that we have to offer. And if we allow this person to do these things, we're ruining our chances of thriving as a community, especially as a sustainable community.
Yeah, and I think it's really crucial when these superficial talking points, like it's to reduce diabetes or it's to bring growth to the region, we call it out and we peel back the layer of obfuscation, and we tell people what the truth is. It's exactly economic development for who. what's actually the purpose behind these bike things, you know?
You know, if we really wanted to, like, you know, unwrap this onion of many layers for, like, you know, the predisposition for our communities to getting diabetes and heart disease and whatnot, we have to look at the structural and systemic reasons why these things are happening to our people. And let me just say, our people have been marginalized and remarginalized over the decades. By who? By who? Tell me about who, because usually the ruling class is usually a certain race. And I want to, like, make it clear that racism and white supremacy has played a major role in the colonization and the absolute violence that has been committed to our people, the diaspora. Because, like, let's be honest, the people who live in Brownsville are the diaspora of Native American people. And maybe people have forgotten their roots, but I haven't, and I'm happy to share. Like,
I haven't. I'm with you, Barry.
We
For
have
sure,
a
all
connection.
skin folk. What was it?
We
All
have a
skin folk.
connection.
How does it go? What's that saying?
All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
That. And there's a lot of that happening in the valley.
Yeah. Well, you know, and like one could argue that, well, we're Mexican too, you know, we're not turning our backs on our people. But, you know, it's Gramsci, it's cultural hegemony. The ruling class has implemented its mentality on everybody it oppresses. And even those who were once oppressed or are oppressed think they can oppress others at a chance at becoming the rulers as well. You know, they're just reinforcing that same paradigm and dichotomy of power and class, white supremacy, displacement. You know, it's a cycle, and it, you know, some lines are blurred. I agree with Barry. It's very patriarchal and white supremacist, but, you know, based on the conditions that we have here in the valley, those with money take on the role of white supremacists, and, you know, and are just employing their will on the oppressed.
It kind of is like when they when the social structures become less clear, they still fall, like, on, like, you know, class structures and, like, the ideas of, like, even that Mexico, and, you know, ingrained in a lot of Mexicans, which, like, the caste systems, which is very, like, socially based, right, as well as, like, class structure, but
Exactly. SpaceX employee. I remember my family having these, like, enforcing these class structures. I remember that, and you know, like, it made me question, like, okay, they like we're the India side of the family. That's so interesting to me, because, you know what, there's nothing wrong with having that cultural tie to the earth. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
it is. And you know what, in the end, the people who lose out are them, because they're turning their back for a mordida. You know, like, down here in the valley, we have what's called mordida culture. Like, todos quieren mordida, because they know that if they're nice to the white man, if they're nice to the man who has the bank, if they're nice to the man who has the business, then they get a little bit of crumbs from the table. And you know what? We're tired of the crumbs. And why are we allowing Elon Musk to destroy our area so he can take his happy ass over to Mars and live there safely, maybe? Like, after he's already had millions and millions of people die to make it safe for him? Like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we allowing the continued destruction of our home? Earth is our home. We need to make sure that it's okay. And yet here we are, imagining, like, this sci-fi story of everybody will happily travel to this new space house and we'll be safe. Mars, I'm sorry, but, like, the only way to live in Mars is if you're burrowing underground. That's from what I understand. I know Musk has his drill that he's going to probably drill underground, and he's probably going to mine. That's really what he's going to do. He's going to mine. But
I mean, he learned it from his daddy, didn't he?
Yeah.
Daddy.
Isn't he from Johannesburg, South Africa? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
His
where,
parents
like,
are emerald mine owners.
yeah, stealing resources. All he's ever done is stolen resources from the land and made it harder for people to enjoy their life.
Yeah, that's the story of gringos. You know, that's what they did. They founded this country and this area of the valley on stealing and violence, genocide. It's It's one big
Indigenous
cycle.
erasure, colonization, leaving us with ancestral trauma. And we're the ones that have to break from that. We're the ones that have to decolonize. He's going to do whatever he wants.
Yep.
And we can't allow that.
Look at the facts. The man does not follow rules. He doesn't care. He's been uplifted by other ne'er-do-wells that are also like, yeah, he doesn't care. Like, you know what? But like, rules are important. Rules are there because people do harm, right? As a region that has been continuously colonized and recolonized and oppressed, and at one point even exterminated. They made sure that they got rid of all the brown people and pushed them out. And they've been doing it over and over again. And here they are again, pushing out all the brown people and using them as the helpers and using them as the low wage employees. I can guarantee you the SpaceX employees, contract workers that are not given the information they need to know when they're picking up those broken rocket pieces. Because everybody deserves to know what they're exposing themselves to. And that's the traditional story of the Valley, the RGV, when they were spraying agricultural workers with DDT or whatever you call it, like, and people were getting sick, but they didn't have the informed consent to know what was happening. And
we are not sacrificial lambs.
We are not. We deserve
also
more.
Putting on Twitter, telling people to come here. Is he saying that the people here are not good enough for him? What's wrong with us? Why is he trying to change us so that he can be happy? What about us and our heritage and culture and our celebrations? We don't need that.
Well said.
For sure.
I just wanted to add that, like, I know I'm victim of it as well. Like, we're victims of this, like, personal responsibility culture, and that tends to place blame on individuals without power. So, like, a kid who doesn't go to school, the parent is blamed, you know, when they have to work 2 full-time jobs just to get by. So there's nobody to take the kid to school. Someone can't pay their rent, so it's the person's fault instead of the conditions, the systems, the structures, like Berry Strawberry was talking about. So although, like, yes, there are people who I guess we could say want to be a certain part of a certain culture that's not of their own. I think we just should focus on the conditions, the structures, the systems in place, and the people in power who uphold those systems.
Musk's wealth is stolen. It's based on underpayment to individuals. It's based on child labor, and that places certain people's bodies with less value, certain people's life with less value, that they can be treated in such a way, and that their lives can be extracted and then converted into wealth for a single individual. So the wealth that has been used to create the empire of SpaceX is based on the same sorts of systems of slavery upon which this nation has been founded, that we've been founded upon stolen wealth, stolen resources, stolen land, and that these systems of stealing, theft, hoarding wealth emerged through the establishment of capitalism and patriarchy. They're inherently tied to a system of patriarchy. The idea that you can extract wealth from the earth and then claim ownership of it, that you can pull something from the feminine energy of the earth and then possess it, is a concept that's inherently tied with patriarchal thinking, as is this whole concept of, like, you can project something into space and then capture something and claim it as your own. So I feel like we need to, in addition to questioning the colonial structures that allow things like this to persist and to spread like thought fire in our communities, We also need to question the ways that we are reinforcing patriarchal thought as the way that we relate to one another and the earth.
And like I was comparing it to the myth of the the Magic Valley, and that definitely this creation of what they call a place myth basically allows for this different version of what a place looks like and what it is like, right? So they're basically defining what Space City is now, and they're going to use that definition of what Space City is, that made up thing, to justify the destruction of land, to justify the extraction of resources, because, oh, look, this is what it could be, or this is what we're trying to do, and therefore it's okay. And I mean, we've seen it before in the Rio Grande Valley through that, but it is definitely all based on, like, you know, Western expansion and manifest destiny, and we all know where all that comes from, or, you know, what it's based off of, which is white supremacy and, you know, ownership over anything that's not inherently that. So yeah, definitely, Yolita, you got it.
I think that it's time that we, you know, say our goodbyes.
Okay. Well, I hope to either that some aliens find me, or that I get struck by a meteor or something, because I'm tired of floating up here. And as far as the Rio Grande Valley, I hope you'll band together more than you already are doing, because this is pretty awesome. But yeah, and just support the people that are speaking out, fighting back, and don't buy into the whole shit that they're talking, because you're going to end up like me.
And support local nature centers and local tour guides that can show you the beauty of the flora and fauna here in the Rio Grande Valley. Do not support this man who wants to destroy our beautiful biodiversity, just like Yorita said. And also, don't forget, if he keeps on doing what he's doing, we are running towards more climate crisis. And we can't do that. We are far too valuable. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, this is more of a message to the general population, the communities of the RGV, of Brownsville, of the surrounding areas. But to officials, it's more of a begging. I'm begging county and city officials to listen to the community, to listen to the public opinion, because, I mean, that's other than, if you don't, you know, what comes next? You know, that's it.
For me, I just want my beach back. I want to be able to have the comfort of such a beautiful and unique space that nobody in this world probably can experience. I want to be able to go to the jetties and look at the sea turtles nibble their little seagrass from the rocks. I want to be able to see all the shoreline birds. I want to be able to pick up sand dollars. And I want to be able to do it when I want, not when Musk lets me. And I want to make sure that in my community, in Brownsville, that the people that I'm used to seeing, the people that are here, aren't moved out, aren't forced out. And I want the city to understand that fast, rapid onset economic development like this will harm us. And so to please find ways to mitigate this or stop it. You could just stop it. Thank you. I'm very, very strawberry.
I want to thank all of you for having me here today. I just want to live in a world with an empowered, poor, and working class. I want justice for the marginalized, and I want the city to put people over profits.
I want to see a future where we make decisions together, where decisions about how our city will take shape and what it represents are decided with those who are most disenfranchised, as opposed to us just being told we're now the face of global colonization. I don't want that. Many people don't want that here, and we should have a say.
ya no